Hello and welcome everybody to our first podcast. We are from Black Crow Gaming and this is going to be called our Black Crow's Murder Scene. So what we're going to be doing is my name is Aaron. I'm going to be one of your hosts and this is
I'm Stephen, and I'm here as well.
he's joining me on this murder scene. And we're going to be reviewing the Meta Monday review. Now, what that's going to entail is we're just going to go through it bit by bit and we're just going to put some opinions on there. But now you're all probably going to be thinking, why the hell do we care about these guys' opinion and what does it matter to us? Well, I'm going to give you a little bit of a background as to who I am. So I'm Aaron. Like I said, I'm from Black Crow Gaming. I'm also a tournament organizer for the East Anglian Grand Tournament and the East Anglian Slam. And I'm part of the reason why we have got a tournament scene in East Anglia because I'm a pain in the ass apparently, and that's just what I wanted.
And it's been non-existent for a while.
It has been non-existent for a while. So that's my introduction done. The awkward part of our first podcast, Stephen. And I'm now going to hand it over to my beautiful, wonderful co-host.
Thank you. I think that's the first time I've been called that. Hey everyone, I'm Stephen from Mega Miniatures. You can check out my YouTube channel as well. I've got a few interviews in there. So the reason I've been invited in is because I've been fortunate enough to find my way into learning more about the game by interviewing people that actually understand the game and much more than I do. You'll find, I think the last one I had on there was with Inez, who took the Manchester GW tournament by storm, and he did really well in the WTC. So there's a huge number of people there that I've had the fortunate opportunity to get to know and learn more from, and as that's developed, I've had the opportunity through Aaron and other guys in Norwich to learn from them. And my word, some of the people here are very tough to play, and you'll hear from a piece that Toby and I put out as well from a recent tournament we were in, how tough the lineup is. And today we are going to run through the Meta Monday Watch to show just how salty at the moment the 40k scene really is, and how it's not going to be a surprise. There is a lot of Eldar going on.
The thing is that if I was an Eldari player right now, and I'm not, but if I am, I'd be looking at this scene. I'd be looking at Meta Monday every week, and then I'd be looking at my collection. I'd be hitting my pants as to what Games Workshop's going to do next. Because let's be honest, they've got a bit of a history of nerfing armies, but they either do one of two things: either go in nice and gentle, speak to them lovingly, give them a small points increase, doesn't really change it, last Eldari nerf, or they go in hard, no lube, and just go straight for it. And this is
Completely kill it.
exactly,
Yeah.
yeah. And I've got a funny feeling that this is probably what we're going to see.
Yeah. I have a feeling that Wraith Knights are going to be taken out of the game. Potentially Fire Prisms are gone. And maybe even some rules for the Yinkan are going to be really shaken up. But at the same time, as we saw from Ninth and a lot of stories that went out, and there was a lot of rumours out there that GW just don't know what to do with Eldar. There's a level of they are very tricky and they don't want to touch them. Being an old Harlequin player myself, I know the kind of abilities they can do just to kill those factions. So we might see some of that.
So look, because I could go off on one about frigging feel good moments. I mean, this whole big GW banner, they might as well put it in lights on their bloody billboard. We want feel good in our game. Okay, let's give you the ultimate feel bad by making it so that your opponent doesn't even have to bloody roll. Oh, here you go. Here's my six to hit. Here's my six to wound. And oh, by the way, that counts as dead wounds. Oh,
Yeah,
bugger.
and a big thing they have at the moment as well is that GW, as we're all aware, has an issue with the going first. There's something that doesn't really match up properly with that, and unlike with Sigmar, if your points are slightly lower, you're not hitting the 2000. There's nothing to give you a bonus there either. So that might be something
No.
they introduce in future. Who knows? Crossing fingers. But at the moment, if Eldar are going first, then you've really got to have some defense behind you to make sure it's happening. And we can just go through that now. So I know that as a big kind of rundown from the whole takeaways from the most tournaments, we'll go through a little bit more detail. But the Meta Mondays were telling us that 10 out of 13 events from this weekend were won by Eldar. So that's a 70% win rate with a near, and there was near 75% without the mirror. So it's a really tricky one, and I'm not sure how GW are planning to take that forward. But
So
yeah,
we've got to be careful here. Let's be honest. We've got to be careful because a lot of people who are taking Eldari, this isn't like your average player taking Eldari all the time, right? Like people who are going and winning these tournaments are still winning the tournaments because they're good at the game.
oh, completely. Don't get me wrong on
So
that one.
you,
Yeah,
so you, I mean, there's players out there that could definitely help us balance this out by just being, not being as good as other people. However, this is where the stats get. They have won 48 tournaments so far,
it's
which
a
is
tough
just
one. It kind of comes down to what you're doing the tournaments for. Like, what's your reason for kind of going through it and coming out the other end? And golden tickets are the big ones, are a huge advantage because if you can take that, then you get a free trip to America and you can play in those big league games there.
Game Workshop has basically become Willy fucking Wonka.
Yeah,
I'm just waiting for some Oompa Loompa to come out with the next friggin' Eldari book, but it's not just
absolutely.
all Eldari. Let's
Yeah.
look. Let's keep our willies in and keep our wonkers out. We're going to carry on going through this meta watch.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I won't continue through the rest of it because there's still some surprises that come up every now and again in this. But we'll start off with there was an All Stars Heat 4 game going off in England. That was 49 players, 5 rounds, a really nice run for there. And actually, some nice surprises in this. So the first two going 5-0, which were the only 5-0s from the tournament, were Eldar. Not a big surprise, but the ones that come out on top here that really surprised me, I'm not sure about you, Aaron, but was the Tyranids coming 4-1. Tyranids have been seen very much recently as the army that aren't to take. They may have a load of new models, and they're going to have the first codex coming out, so maybe when that hits, they're going to be doing a lot better. But hitting a podium spot already is really impressive, and the only way that's happening is someone who has a passionate for that army and understands the rules and really is going to play with them properly. We don't have the list here exactly, but I know that in Tyranids it's heavily going to be about movement control, and so that's just you have to give hats off to that
are
person.
amazing, aren't they? Barbthorns are amazing.
Yeah.
Let's be honest, they're just amazing.
So it's a really nice one to see. After that, most of the ones in the list are kind of you're expecting. We have Thousand Suns 4-1. I know that Vicstar, when you took them to WTC, really proved what's possible with Thousand Suns. And if they're not going to get hit heavily in the meta because they're not hitting above those 50% areas at the moment, they could be the next army to really watch out for after the, in quotes, nerfs. Then we have another Eldar player, and then a Custodes. I know is very close to your heart, Aaron. So there's a few.
My golden babies.
Yeah.
Get out the butter oil.
Yeah, there's a few lists with Custodes doing very well at the moment. I'm seeing online that people are either taking a lot of foot soldiers, and if they're taking tanks, it has to be 2 because the one with 4 shots just isn't necessarily going to be that much of a backup. So foot soldier slogging seems to be the way for a lot of Custodes lists. Again, Eldar. Lovely again to see another Tyranids in there, 8th and 9th coming up with Thousand Suns. So a nice little mix there with some surprises. I think that All Stars one was a really nice rundown, and also only 2 players getting 5-0 is very interesting.
What I find mental about that tournament, and I look at it, I know we say, but it's literally 3 armies. There is like 20 plus factions in 40k. And yet, Thousand Suns, everybody knows Thousand Suns are capable of loads. Custodes are just in a decent place. They're in that nice bracket at the minute where they have their shortcomings, which is why they're not like just absolutely dominating tournaments. But they have like this. They have they're the best combat army in the game. You get touched by them in places you didn't know you could be touched by. And then you've got this Tyranids, which are then coming out. And I think this is just from people playing the game regularly, learning what's coming, and they're now developing their list. Because us as 40k players, and I'm definitely guilty of it, we love to look at something nice and early and go, "Holy crap, it's all broken, nothing's going to work. Oh my god, Doom is me." We're all nerds. We hate change. That is a thing.
I think the benefits of the change is that you can then buy another army and buy another and buy
And this is
another.
why Games Workshop's a multi-billion-pound company.
Yeah, trying to like stick to one, and then I think even recently I've been trying to cut rate back, and then something like I found a way to manage to sneak another one in just so it's um, but no, it's really nice to see. And as you said, Custodes is the one in the middle that does seem to do very well, but seems to hit that 50% mark at the moment, where I wonder whether there's going to be something that comes in with a nerf. I'm not sure what it necessarily would be. Maybe it's a tank push, just because they were so big at the beginning. But again, there's so much foot slogging. It's like those two words together I cannot get right. But so much of that at the moment. I think it might be safe. So we'll see.
Who knows what's going to happen?
Yeah,
Like, I mean, the only thing we can be certain about is Eldari going to be toned down. Like, look, it's going to happen.
yeah,
It has to happen. And the next tournament, holy crap! Like, it's like you went over to this island and you're like, the only fucking thing I'm going to collect is Eldari.
yeah. Yeah, the next tournament we have is Carnage at the Cossie. I hope I'm saying that right. From Wellington, New Zealand. 48 players, another 5 rounds, and it is 1 to 6 is Eldar. It's mad. I think even the second place, it looks like it said 4-0-1. So I'm assuming there was a
There must have been a draw.
must be a draw of some sort there. Yeah. And then seventh we have Custodes, and eighth again Tyranid showing their face. But yeah, so the sixth list from Eldar is just mean, and a terrifying prospect when you come to a tournament to see. You think, oh great, there's going to be this many players coming in with Eldar, and they are just going to take the top spot. It doesn't feel good to stay there. I mean, the last time we had, well, we had a few issues with this in ninth, but I remember
Drakari.
Drakari, they just, yeah, exactly. They just took over. And Admech
Don't say
for
Dark Eldar. The Games Workshop will turn us off, mate.
true, yeah,
We'll be in massive trouble.
that's very true.
We'll get a
And yeah,
cease and desist letter or something along those lines.
and even Admech for a bit before they got completely like nerfed into the ground. I mean, way back when flyers were everything, I think there's still videos online of people running 4 flyers and just ending a game on first turn with Admech. So seeing it now and actually at a worse state, as you said earlier, mate, it's yeah, something needs to happen. I'm just crossing fingers. I know it's not going to hit for the EAG tournament you're running in Cambridge, sadly, because that's going to be just. It's probably, well, the expectations is that the drop is going to come after that, but I'm really hoping it hits for the LGT because I'm not going to enjoy that.
Here's 700 players. 650 of them are playing
Yeah.
Eldari.
Get the spray cans out now, just go.
Yeah.
So
So
that was
the
a really crazy run, but don't worry, that's not the only run with like a pure Eldar finish here. But one that shines a light on an area that Toby and I had from playing in Norwich was the Wastelands War in Texas. This had Necrons and Necrons as first and second, exactly the same thing we had at Athena, and my suspicion is this is going to involve a lot of Lichguard because they've been doing very well for Necrons.
so look, I haven't really paid much attention to Lichguard, but am I right in saying they've basically got a 4-up Feel No Pain and they
Regen, and then when they have the guys there protecting them, they can bring back even more. So they bring back regens in it's either their command phase or each command phase, plus they can then play the stratagem to regen. It's and also when you attack them, they can take the attacks on the Cryptothropes first, who have a 4+ invulnerable save. So you have to get through a lot before you can even
Man,
start hitting the Lich Guard. And if you bring a squad of 20, that's just it's a lot to get through.
it's absolutely bogged. That's what that is. I can so I imagine like coming up and playing against Necrons and seeing a list like that, and then you're just like, oh yeah, I can chew through this, and then you're like, this
It
maybe I don't have enough to chew through this. I
it
mean, look,
hurts.
Necrons went at the Wasteland, they went what 5-0, 4 and a draw, which is great. But what the thing that surprises me the most, and this is like an army that seemed to be coming out of the dirt because they only get rules from like turn 3, round 3, back round 3. Tau went 4-1,
Yeah.
4-1.
Tau is
But there's
definitely an army that I think you have to be you have to be a quality player to win tournaments. Don't get me wrong, but I think Tau you have to be a very quality player to really understand how things are going to work right.
I mean, there was that WTC thing. I mean, the guy will probably hate us for bringing this up,
Yeah.
but when he fired into Shalaxi, did the square root of fuck all, and then lost like one of his own battle seats.
Shalaxi's one of those broken ones that I don't think is going to get fixed for a while.
And look, if you haven't seen that, try and find the WTC game where it was the Tau versus the Demons.
War Games Live first game I think it was with against 12 or 11 War Dogs and a Shalaxi. It was awful.
If you want to see an awkward moment, that poor bastard that rolled all those dice and did nothing. The gods, he needed toilet dice right there.
And
wherever that toilet
and
dice
talking of those
man
Chaos
is.
Knights there, though, we had in 6th place for this one with a 4-1 Chaos Knights show their heads, which I'm very excited to see, as I've been busy working away on my own Chaos Knights recently. So.
That is madness, because it makes me question this tournament a little bit, but I'm glad to see some of these lists coming up and doing well. Like, obviously there's the normal ones, there's GSC in there, there's Custodes, there's Eldari, but it's nice. This is where we should be at in the hobby, where we could look at like a top 10 and see like variable types of lists in there.
The other advantage of this as well is the fact that some of the army rules aren't always fully known. You can discuss them, but you can't necessarily prepare for things. So the battle shock abilities of the Chaos Knights can really throw armies out of the way. People know what's going to go on with Eldar. I think a lot of people know what's going on with GSC now. But Tau, there's still a slight misunderstanding of like how maybe their shooting works, and so you can take advantage of that. Not in a way that's like unsportsmanly, because you have to explain it, of course, but you maybe not prepared for what the list is going to be built up of. So it gives those players a real opportunity to bring their own level of creativity to it. And I think it's still, as you're saying, with Custodes has that as well. There's still a huge variety of what you can do. With Eldar, most people are expecting certain things. There's going to be a Wraith Knight. There's going to be this kind of heavy firepower.
I mean, look, I talked with Eldari players and some very good ones, and I'm like, literally everything in your index is good. And they try and tell me that it's not. And I'm like, I mean, it's great. It's great for them as hobbyists to be in a position where they can literally look at their index and be like, I would like to take just about everything in this index. But there's other indexes, like it's just wildly out of proportion.
Yeah.
I mean, this has been spoken about by just about every YouTube, podcast, whatever going. But like you talk to like even at like club level, when you go into like clubs and so on, like the disparity of the indexes is really evident, and people just want to use their toy soldiers that they love, right?
Yeah, of course.
But even at club level, people are probably shelving stuff because it's just it is so level. Toilet.
Because the club level, you want to like, but also at club level, you might not even bring your Eldar who are really good, because there's a level of not wanting to play the silly game that you're going to walk in and instantly win. You want to play something where you're giving your opponent a bit of fun, really.
Yeah, because you don't want to be known as that guy, and then look, guys, look me in the eyes and tell me that you don't know that guy, and if you are that guy, sucks to be you.
I'm just looking now.
Shut up.
My Raven Wing on 9th, yeah, that was what it was.
I remember that tournament, you tipping up.
That was great. It was so fun. Whole army painted in one night.
So look, we're moving on.
So we have the Abyss Supernova at Montreal, Canada, 36 players, so a little bit smaller. But with WTC scoring, they had, as we expect, Eldra number 1, Thousand Suns number 2. Really surprising one here was Admech coming in 3rd with a 4-win, 1 draw, we're guessing, and one loss. Then Custodes and Tyranids. I'm still amazed Tyranids are coming through in here, just because everything.
They are good though. Tyranids are good. Like you literally watch them on YouTube streams. You know, I've seen Liam Dempsey show, for example. He's played them plenty. A lot of tabletop tactics, like Art of War. Tyranids are a good index.
I think,
but they didn't have the fanfare because everyone was jumping on other bandwagons.
Plus, they're going to get the new codex first in like 2 weeks now, so they're going to just own it.
Give it time that you'll be seeing you'll be seeing a lot of Tyranids.
There's going to be a lot. There's going to be a lot in London. I know that for sure. But big excitement here. Admech coming through. This is probably a 12 breacher list because that seems to be a very popular choice at the moment.
Whoever that guy is, he's a fucking hero because no one else is doing it. Look, we're going to move on again because this next one will be rather quick.
This one literally says this is not a joke. Just to clear that one.
Because 1 to 6, drum roll, is Eldari.
Yeah.
Right, moving on.
There's all there is to say about that one. Dark Sphere, one bit more local, England and London, 32 players, 5 rounds. One I'm excited about in this one is that, yes, we have Eldar in first and second, Thousand Suns third, and Custodians coming in fourth, but a friend of mine on the first day was in first place with his Admech going 3-0. I thought that was the end of it, and then apparently there was actually another day. I didn't realise it, so I was like, mate, you got it. No.
So the second day went downhill, right?
Yeah, I think he was like only the 2 Admech players in this whole tournament weekend. So I know he got 4-1 in the end. Just didn't get enough to take it on there. Again, his list is very much it's not a 12 breacher list, but there's a lot going on with Einstriders. But just the advantage Admech have is there's a lot of bodies that some armies just cannot cope with. Unfortunately, this one, Eldar obviously did. So going, again, first and second place, but nice to see Thousand Suns. Most of these lists do have some inspiration from Vic Starr's creation with the Team England squad, which has been proven very effective, and he's spoken about on a few different podcasts to really reveal how that's happening. So
I mean, there's a reason why these guys are on Team England, right?
Yeah.
Like they're good players, and you know, we all try and come up with stuff, and sometimes you come up with a list and it's basically exactly what lots of other people will come up with, because you know, you might not have that many options. Custody, you know.
Imperial Knight's the same. I know I speak to a few friends, like Kylo, one of my Imperial Knights list, and he says, I made that list. And I'm like, no, you didn't. It just happened. We got the same thing because we have about 3 options.
Well, this is a bit of a plug to the Blackrock Gaming. So one of our founding members, Josh, when he went down to Cross Swords recently, he decided to take one of the big knights. I don't know what to call it. He had lots of guns.
Yeah, big guns.
There we go.
All day.
Yeah, guns. And then he just took loads of his baby knight friends. And he managed to go 4-1. He got a podium spot. He did very, very well. He got second there. And you won't be shocked what he lost out to.
Couldn't I guess it's something like Eldar?
It was Eldari.
It was Eldar there.
It was Eldari. But look, there is the Index Hammer is great because there's a lot of creation. People looked at it from all these different angles. We had everybody at the beginning of 10th. We all thought Battleshock was going to be a big thing, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I was looking at the Dark Angels option to keep up with the Battleshock for, I think they get an extra 1, even if they went down to 0, and that just seemed big. It really hasn't come up. It really hasn't been something that
Battleshock is just really a bit of a like mute, really.
Yeah.
I think Games Workshop had this like grand idea, and they were selling it in all of their battle reports that it was going to be this big thing. Oh no, I've lost this objective because I'm Battleshocked. But then you can just look afterwards, be like 1 CP, they're no longer Battleshocked.
Yeah.
You know, I don't necessarily think that was necessary. That you should be making this decision before you roll, in my opinion. You should be like, I'm going to make them automatically pass that test.
Absolutely. The only army I think that's going to take advantage of it, and one of the reasons I'm swinging that way at the moment, is Chaos Knights, as they have the ability that if they take an objective, they have an 8OC on it. So if you have 10 and they can force you to make your Battleshock worse on a couple of objectives, you only get to roll it on 1. So you're only getting that 1 chance to save an objective, and they can take another one off you. Obviously, not always going to work. I'm still testing that ability. But, you know, in this line, they've done a few, and they just have a few little differences that have drawn me away from Imperial Knights for the moment. I'm really into the small knights rather than the big guys. I don't like them.
Wait, don't like something too big?
No, no, always small.
You're more of a s-
I'm a much smaller guy. Yeah,
you're a small man,
I make up
small
for the
hand guy.
I make up for the exercise myself, so it's fine.
Bit of love and comfort.
Absolutely, yeah, yeah. But again, they've shown their face in this one, so we have them in sixth place. Another nice surprise in this one was the as we've already been told off for already, but Drukari coming in third. So it's lovely to see.
For the Oxford Onslaught, yeah.
Yeah.
Jakari coming in third.
I'm
Four
quite
and
surprised
one.
at that because they're just not hitting very hard at all
I mean,
in any points of their
they
army, but they're scoring well,
let's be
obviously.
honest, they're shit. Like Drakari Raiders, are they still being the Drakari Raiders, or should we just call them the mixed Eldari Raiders now?
Yeah,
Like it's
they're not doing great, but they've
no.
this person obviously is knows exactly what they're doing. Like we have Darren who comes to the club quite a lot. He did very well at Nottingham last year when I was there, and he has been a Drakari fan through and through. And it needs a player like that who knows their army back
You have to
front.
just you've just got to love them.
Yeah,
And I think, like I said, people who looked at Drakari and who are regular and like to do well at tournaments probably would have looked at Drakari and been like, I can't do it.
what other army can I play?
Yeah. Funny enough, we have a guy in Black Crow who did the exact same thing. He's now an Aldari player. Simon,
Oh,
not
really?
naming names. Yeah, yeah. If you're listening to this, Simon, which you bloody well better be,
What's the?
what did you do? You made a terrible decision. You're part of the problem.
Cool.
Moving on.
Yeah,
We've
moving
got
on.
the
We're going to
Warhammer.
Thailand with 30 players,
Yeah.
5 rounds. Again, Eldar number one. What were you expecting? With GSC coming second. Then we have Necrons and lovely to see Orcs coming in. I am terrified of Orcs with any army I play. They are a scary army that I do not understand and don't think I ever
The
will.
all
And
players have the most fun.
yeah,
Simple.
The
No matter.
the rule I once heard was you can only play Orcs once you've played every other army, and then you just say, right, I don't care anymore. I'm playing Orcs.
You know, the thing about orcs, what I really like about orcs, and especially orc players, is that their attitude towards the game is just excellent. They're basically
Yeah,
like, you know what, screw it.
I'm rolling
Everything that they
sixes
do.
for everything.
Yeah, yeah. They look at it and they look at the board, they look at the game very differently, and they go, how can I mess and crump and destroy my opponent up the most? And then
Yeah,
afterwards, they kind of have a sit there and they think about it and be like, oh, look, I've managed to hold all of these objectives. Oh, look, I've just won the game.
yeah,
And I like to think that this guy that got like a 4 and 1, he was just wiring all over the
oh,
place, having
totally.
like his best time, and he probably wouldn't shock me if these sort of players were getting like most sporting awards as well. And you know, at my own tournaments, I see guys come in with orcs, and everybody who plays these orc guys at the tournaments are just having the best time.
Orcs
And
always really, I mean, my experience as well, Orcs always seem to be really well painted as well. They're not an army that someone's like just thrown together.
they
They,
are a
yeah,
labour of love,
yeah,
orcs. Which like Guard are a labour of love. I
yeah.
mean, at this Thailand tournament, Guard came in sixth. We love to see it. Probably mega tanked, but again, you see these people. They've got regiments and regiments and regiments of all these troops. They've got all, and it's the same with orcs, but they're all just incredibly. They're a good hobby army, right?
I'll be honest, I'm surprised there's not more guards in this, as the ability to bring back the Sentinels just so fast. It's really powerful and really scary. So I'm kind of surprised there aren't more. But at the same time, it might be they're coming just below top 10s, and so we're not seeing them on this meta watch. But the guards still have a lot of power. They dominated WTC, so there's
I
every
feel like
chance they're going to come
they
back.
fall down against certain matchups, though, don't they?
Absolutely, yeah.
They have some seriously hard counters.
I mean,
Um,
a tournament run is not only how well you play; it's also the luck of the draw. Depends who
oh,
you get. You can't always win
absolutely.
that.
And sometimes you get really lucky and you pair into all these armies that you like favor really well into, and then other times you might have no favorable and very good players end up falling short because they're just pairing in. But then
Yeah,
they can mitigate that
and
damage. They
that's
can.
and that's where best sporting comes in. You got to just you take it, you have fun with it. That's the point of the game. Enjoy it. But yeah,
Yeah,
we're going
cough
to.
toilet dice.
Yeah. Those are going to live in infamy. There's no way they're going to be around forever.
Oh my
Cool.
God! I don't. It's literally gonna be like the timeless meme. You know, like the
Yeah.
guy who went around and did like the ass crack pictures.
No.
You ever see that? So, okay, here's the story. We're going to digress. So, a chap on the interweb, yes, that black hole that exists, he basically went out there and he just got loads of photos at this tournament he was at. And he was just stood next to just ass crack. So everybody who he was finding where their trousers were slightly down, you had the builder's butt,
Brilliant.
and he was just him like, hey, Every, and it was fantastic.
That's what you
There
want.
was something
That's
so there was
exactly what
something
you want.
crazy like 40 photos as well. So I hope you turned around and told them afterwards, mate, you're displaying a bit, pull them up.
Oh, that's brilliant. I love that. Cool. So the next one we have is the ECDC presents the Big Sky Open. Someone's been working on these names, seriously. This one took Orcs for the only army with a 5-0. That's really impressive. Dark Angels coming as well, although it's not the Dark Angels traditional option. Is that right? The GTF.
No,
So that's the kind of normal Space Marine ones.
it's basically just the Astartes,
Yeah,
but they call
yeah.
them Dark
But then they
Angels.
get their own fun. It could have, as we were saying earlier, like Black Knights, the Lion. Some
Yeah,
people are
yeah,
putting the Lion
exactly.
still in. There's a few options, but generally it's Astartes. Elder coming in. This one's surprising. In fourth place, we have Sisters of Battle. I'm really shocked by that, as that's just another army that I was not expecting to see anywhere in this
I
at
think
all.
I think what we've got to also appreciate, and
Also, it's
this is
only
a big
30
thing,
players as well this tournament, so it's a
it's
very different scale.
30 players, and every area has their own meta.
Yes, true.
And that sounds really strange. Like people come in this hobby, they're like, "What the hell?" Like this big word, meta. And then when we're sitting here saying like every area has their own meta, like literally, we play differently to what they might do over in America. We'll have, and this is why like it's the WTC teams tournament was so interesting because you're bringing all these international teams up against one another. You could like in the UK, we could go from East Anglia all the way to the South Coast, all the way up to the north, and we will find different styles of play. We'll see different types of lists. We'll see different armies that represent heavily in that area. And I don't understand what the science is behind it. I don't know why it happens. I don't know if it's just because there's a few blokes and they kind of drive, or blokes or people or women, they drive the hobby in a certain direction in their area. Who fucking knows? But from what we can see here, this of all the results is probably the most surprising and most well-rounded because it's Eldari only show up once. You've got Sisters, you've got Orcs in there twice, and then Chaos Demons. And Chaos Demons are in a good place. We know they're in a good place. They're in that nice spot as well.
Chaos Demons doing, I think, can be very good. I don't think even they're going to get hit either in any of the nerfs. So
No, they don't really need to be. They are
no,
good.
there's some
They've got
really
good.
good options in them, especially as we were saying earlier. Shalaxi, she's so much more powerful if you bring Be'lakor. So, but again, that's
Well,
a
you
together
mean
that's like a
her?
900 point, yeah, 800 point option. It's a big decision to make, but there you go.
It's one you see in just about all Chaos Demon lists. Though
Yeah,
you've
true.
got to, if you're taking Shalaxi, you might as well have your little poster boyfriend
Yeah,
there as well.
might as well. Yeah. So
And this
then
next
the
one,
ELB
L,
Coast Cup,
is it L? Is it
six.
ELB? I think it's ELB, but it's probably it sounds.
I'm gonna go ELB. I mean, it's in Hamburg,
Stephen,
Germany.
do
So,
it in a German accent.
oh god, no, I'm not gonna get no. We're not gonna cancel him.
Elb Coast Cup. I can't even do it. That was terrible.
So number one taking this spot was the Eldar again, or Eldari as we're meant to be saying.
Yeah.
Number two, interesting, was Imperial Knights. The curiosity here is being a smaller tournament. It might be they weren't blocking out bottom windows, and so towering can then actually come into effect. A lot of tournaments at the moment, since the towering discussion has been around, have been blocking bottom tournaments. I know that a lot of the UKTCs have now been replaced with stained glass windows to block that out, which then just nullifies towering options. Hence, one of my reasons for sticking with Baby Knights. Towering just isn't really that strong in certain tournament spaces. So it could be that the open floor was bottom floor was open, so towering comes into effect, and that is where they can really shine. But this one, even though Eldar did take the top spot, this top four is a really nice, diverse thing. We're getting Eldar, Imperial Knights, Chaos Demons, and Orcs. That's how, even though Eldar's the top here and top everywhere else, it's nice to see that difference. And I think that's really interesting. Same with the next one we have, which is HWP Salt T Classic GT. Oh my word, such long names. August 2003 in Florida. Again, a 28 player, so like the 30 range. Imperial Knights taking again. We're not sure whether bottom ground floor is open, and that does make a big difference for Imperial Knights.
Yeah, again, like we haven't seen much of Imperial Knights, and I think this makes a big difference. Like when you look at the bigger tournaments higher up on in the Meta Watch article, Imperial Knights just aren't there.
No, they're not on showing at all.
But the lower end, like the 28 player, the 30 player, I think we not probably not got that big of a population of players either. I think you're going to see armies like Imperial Knights, Guard doing well, but even here, third place, fourth place,
It's still
Eldari
Elder.
again.
Yeah,
Just everywhere.
absolutely.
It's like you know what? It's might get me in trouble here. It's like when you somebody gets a sexually transmitted disease
Where
and
are
they
we
are
going with this?
and they are extremely randy, and say that you've got this sexually transmitted disease, and then you go and just go absolute ham. 20 people then get this sexually transmitted disease. It's just fucking everywhere. Eldari, I'm not trying to compare you to a sexually transmitted disease, but maybe if we'd have worn protection Games Workshop, this might not be a problem.
The Murder of Crows is saying that
So in the
Eldari
Black
is the
Crow,
STD.
so it's official. In the Black Crow murder scene, Eldari is now officially a sexually transmitted disease.
When they find that, that's good. I like it. We'll just keep it. That's good. Yeah, that's it. Done.
Don't edit this out.
No, staying it. Oh dear. Well, again, as we were just talking about, they're here again. You've got it. Welcome to the Las Vegas Open GT in Scotland. And apart from second place being Thousand Suns, first, third, and fourth are all Eldari.
Let's give them the clap.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Last one we're going to go for is the H4H Popcorn GT in Indianapolis. This one is slightly different. We do still have Eldari winning, but second and third has Orcs. Again, I'm still terrified of them, but I really love to see them here. So I think that's a fantastic.
It's just great to see, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like seeing these like other armies now slowly starting to creep up the board, and we get that from like in this article at like in the takeaway section. It kind of comes up with sort of like all the overall wins and losses and so on.
Yeah.
And some of these armies that were representing quite low at the beginning are now starting to come up towards that Stu Black magic marker of 50%. I mean, look, we know September's coming quick. We know nerfs are coming in hot. Eldari need it. I mean, look, there's certain armies out there that literally just they need a lot of work, like Votan.
To be improved for sure.
Votan went from being like absolutely busted in ninth, like.
But then I think it's because people were scared of what they could do before they even hit the table.
Oh my god, yeah, it was like the saltiest nerd tears ever.
Yeah.
And then Games Workshop were like, "Holy crap, we better do this, and we're not going to sell any of our toys." And then they changed it before they even got released. They were still bloody broken.
Yeah.
Like Christ. And then they, we all know they nerfed them again, and then they became like a crazy elite army. And I don't think that was ever the intention. I think the intention was always to make them kind of like this mid-style horde army. But now you've made it so that they're so bad that they've got a couple units that are worth taking, but ultimately they just don't have anything. They don't really survive, and they don't really put out any damage.
Yeah.
And their rule is that they haven't really got any rules. Like, the rules pretty crap. Like, you only get judgment tokens, obviously, if you're being killed. And if you're being killed,
you're losing.
You're probably losing a bit. And I mean, I imagine Eldari by the end of the game with Votan have got a fuckload of judgment tokens, whatever you want to call them. Some little space dwarf left in the corner being like, "Holy crap, I hate you all."
But it's the same with even with Death Guard. They're not doing great at the moment.
Oh boy, Death Guard.
When
Poor,
at the
poor,
beginning
poor
of
Death
ninth, when
Guard.
they had their first codex out, they were big, and I think they were a very popular faction to have. At the moment, their ability is quite nice, but the problem is that everyone just has everything just a little bit stronger. It's just that little bit weaker that means they're out, really. Which is a real shame. Mortarion, probably my favourite Primarch model, and you just don't get to see him on the tabletop. He's still lovely to see when he hits when he hits there. So
It's just so sad. I mean, we've got friends, and they're committed to Death Guard, like committed to, and they're getting like pasted
yeah,
at times, but they're still scoring with them. So I don't think that Death Guard are a million miles
look,
away.
a little tweak, and I think they'll be back. So
Yeah, I think you could all of a sudden you'll be seeing them coming in hot. And I mean, let's add this in. Right, predictions. Who do you think? What do you think is going to be the next army? It's going to be the big bad. Go on. What do you reckon?
for
What are you
me, it's
thinking?
going to be Tyranids, as they're the first one with the new book, and Necrons. The reason is I just have a feeling that anything that was even slightly above 50% is going to get hit. So that's quite a few armies, to be honest, even Thousand Suns now. Chaos Space Marines, Eldari, even potentially, as I said, something happened with Custodes. My guess is going to be the Extraction Squad and the Calidus Assassin will be increased, which isn't something that necessarily hits Custodes themselves as their own army, but it's something that has been featured in all those armies and Imperial Knights.
It hurts their utility. I
Absolutely.
mean, looking at the numbers from this meta watch, Custodes were represented 42 times over the tournament. However, they didn't win any,
No.
and
And
they're
so I
sitting
don't
at an
think
awkward
necessarily
51%.
yeah. I don't think necessarily they're going to get points. Anything I can think would be tanks. For me, it's those extra units.
Oh, I don't
So
know. I could see Custodian Guard going up in points.
really, they're quite expensive. I mean, you
But
can get how many
they're very
18,
good.
18 wardens for 900 points, and you can get 20 guard for 900. Yeah,
Yeah,
so
but look, what was it, Tacoma, where
yeah,
to
30 guard.
to the 30 guard list, he basically just went, "Here you go, now deal with that," and apparently no one could.
I'm still surprised. I remember we discussed that, and you said if you shoved it in with Blade Guard to give them a slightly faster movement. I'm still surprised he didn't do that, but that's maybe the models he
Oh,
had.
the Blade Champ, what a
Blade,
hero! I'm going to give a honourable mention to like some other stuff that I think Grey Knights. That Grey Knights are going to get tweaked. They're going to get their points deducted, and when they do, oh boy,
yeah.
because they are good. The rules are good.
So do you think
The
they're the
rules
ones that are
are.
going to come up top as the
It might.
next?
My hot take is, I mean, when we it's going to be a few weeks. So if anybody's watching this, hold me to it. Put it in the comments, whatever. Be like, Aaron, you said that you think Grey Knights and you were chatting out of your
And they
ass,
were
but
rubbish.
actually they were rubbish the whole time. So if you're not going to put money on me, that's fine. But if I'm a betting man, I'd put it on Grey Knights.
Okay, if I had to choose one, I think I'm still going Necron. I know Tyrion has got a new codex, but I feel that a lot of you will have Necron from ninth, and so with a slight tweak, it's just going to be an easy army for people to pick up very quickly. So
Yeah.
and then currently, what did they get from this round? They got 53% win rate, which isn't huge, no, but they have the pieces, and people have had the chance to play with them to adjust them to a point they want to be. So, yeah, my new big bad is going to be Necrons, I think. Who do you think Eldar's going to be nerfed into the ground?
Are they going to get a Giga Nerf? No.
No.
No. I don't think that's going to be the case.
I have a feeling GSC will get ruined. I know that their win rate this time hasn't been huge, and there's this argument on the article that says people have had a chance to learn how to play around them. I still wonder whether GW doesn't know how to make that slightly worse, and so it's going to take away an ability from them that's just really going to wreck the army. So that's the one I think is going to get really bad.
Didn't they say at the very beginning though that they weren't gonna drastically change the rules? They were going to just try and play with it in points.
Maybe, but then it's the acolytes that are really hard, and there's lists out there with like 11 characters. So if you just increase those points to characters, that takes away a lot of abilities to make them easy to run. I know what you mean about the Eldar, or Eldari, as we should call them. I've heard this rumor that GW aren't really sure how to control them, and
I can tell you how they control them. You put on a condom, you get the person some cream, and you tell them to stop scratching.
That works. That's the way. Just become celibate. But it's the same thing with like Harlequins. Harlequins are doing we're doing really well. They are nowhere to be seen now. And that, I think the invulnerable save killed them from the end of 9th, and they now are just nowhere to be seen. They do exist within Eldari, but they cannot really be their own faction at the moment.
They're the ultimate sad clown.
Yeah,
you know,
like that. I think that one little change just took it out. And it was I real feel bad for me because I loved rolling 4-ups. It was great.
You mean you love chasing that meta?
Yeah, oh totally. No, I liked Harlequins for my first one, so it was a real love thing. I my favourite is going to tournaments with extremely low data sheets. So the first time I played Eldari at a tournament, Harlequin, at a tournament, I had 3 data sheets. I had Troop Master, troops, and boats, and that was it. And so it was a nice, fast game for me to remember what I was doing. Now I've got to add, 5? Oh my word! So.
Oh my God, Stephen! I'm so sorry that you've now actually got to play the game.
Oh, I have to think about it. It's awful. Got stalkers,
and then on that
brigands,
and then
a few demons. Yeah.
Oh God. And on that bombshell, we should probably start thinking about coming to an end.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you so much for tuning in. Really appreciate it.
Join us next time for next Monday for the Black Crow murder scene. We're going to go through the meta again. I'm probably going to say that Eldari have still got that STI that they need to stop scratching, and I'm probably going to prescribe some cream to some of my friends who play them.
Perfect.
Take it easy.
See you. Bye.
Bye.